Hello everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we'll be talking about how AMC Theaters has launched a $25 million ad campaign trying to motivate people to come back to the movie theater. And obviously, I very much have a torn feeling and emotion about this because I love movie theaters. However, at the same time, this campaign featuring Nicole Kidman is a little bit on the cringe side, and also it makes me ask the question, where the heck have y'all been the last year and a half on this type of campaign? But anyway, before going any further, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel with that bell notification on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. We'll also be giving a little bit of a box office update because we have some day numbers for Shang-Chi, as I know everyone is still so riveted about the box office amazingness. In fact, so much so that Black Widow, on a day when you compare historically, has actually beaten Shang-Chi. Could it be spelling danger? And a massive drop-off in week 2. We'll have to wait and see for the actual weekend. Also, we have the movie Venom, which is now moving up in its theatrical release schedule in the wake of the massive, huge success of Shang-Chi. So, could very much be a short-lived time at the box office for Shang-Chi as far as it being the only major game in town. But let's first off talk about this first story here. AMC Theaters launches first ever $25 million national ad campaign with Nicole Kidman with the tagline, "We make movies better." And indeed, I do agree because, as you all know, I have been a huge proponent of movie theaters. I love going to the movies. It's something that's always been a passion of mine. No matter how good a home setup can be, it's very hard to capture the same exact feeling that a movie theater has, especially with the massive sound, the massive screen, the experience of watching a movie with a bunch of people. However, it also, I think, and especially in this ad campaign, does leave out some of the issues that have been a part of the more modern movie-going experience, which is you have theaters that are now run down, speakers that are not always working. The biggest problem for me is you have these theaters with these screens where the bulbs are clearly getting to the point of death and are flickering, and yet they allow movies to continue to play even in those conditions. And it is so incredibly distracting, and it makes it very difficult to support theaters when that kind of thing is going on, especially if it's at a specific theater where that is a common occurrence. And obviously it makes sense, especially the last year and a half, because of the financial straits that a lot of theaters have been in. However, it is still a part of that movie-going experience. It's also funny because in this campaign, they are in a movie theater, and just the amount of, let's just say, it's very unrealistic the way that they portray it, because they portray the theater as brand new, clean, single piece of trash on the floor, the seats looking pristine, which again, obviously, it's an ad campaign, so they're going to want to make it look as best as possible. But still, that's not really the typical experience. In fact, I cannot wait to see, as I'm sure there will be, especially as this ad campaign gets officially launched, there are going to be a lot of parodies of this trailer, of this ad campaign, showing actual footage of modern-day theaters, cutting it back and forth with what Nicole Kidman's saying, because I do think that is a legitimate criticism that there are a lot of theaters that just don't really hold themselves up to the proper standard. And if you're going to try and push people to the movie theater especially, you're going to really need to start to innovate to really guarantee that that experience is going to be better than what you can get at home. Because even though, as I said earlier, you really can't capture the same essence that a movie theater can capture, that's only if the movie theater is actually operating at its fullest capacity. Because if it's not, and also you have people who are going to these movies sometimes who are talking on their phones and distracting, that does take away from it. That does sometimes make the experience from at home be better in certain ways. And especially as technology is becoming more and more affordable, you start to have home theaters now having similar capacities, even when it comes to things like sound. It's a little bit harder to capture the same essence with screen size, but even then, right, if you're willing to spend a little bit of extra money, it is still very much within reach of more people than had been previously to build their own legitimate home theater. Anyway, let's go ahead and just read a little bit about this. It says, in the wake of Disney's record-breaking Labor Day weekend with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Okay, hold on for a second. Remember, this record-breaking Labor Day is very much a piece of fool's gold, as they say. Again, the last record, I believe, that this weekend had was the 5th weekend of a little film called The Sixth Sense. And also in the history of Labor Day, big films haven't been released because Labor Day typically is lower budget, or rather lower on the box office side of things. And so Shang-Chi, again, basically a heavyweight going up against lightweights in this weekend. So the whole, it was breaking records, it's like, okay, Labor Day is not all that impressive. And when you actually look at the 3-day release, still didn't make as much as Black Widow did in its opening. And you can try and, again, spin it all you want about the characters and things like that. And there's no denial that the film is overperforming based on what the projections were saying. However, it is, again, still worth talking about how this whole Labor Day weekend record thing is just a bunch of hooey. Anyway, it goes on to say, the number one movie circuit in the world, AMC, is launching the first ever $25 million multimedia ad campaign, We Make Movies Better, featuring Oscar winner Nicole Kidman. It's hard to think of the last time or ever when a national movie chain literally ran network TV spots to encourage those on the couch to get out and head to the movies. It's rather unprecedented. And AMC has booked a big star here. Kidman is a smart choice for the TV spots aimed right at the older female demographic who has been hesitant to return to cinemas during the pandemic. Okay. That is an interesting note and factoid there. Note there reportedly hasn't been a recorded COVID outbreak case at any movie theater worldwide. Yes. And I think that this is where I need to call AMC out. This is something that we knew a year and a half ago. Why are you waiting until now, AMC, or any movie theater chain, to push this? Hey, Hollywood. Obviously, you have Nicole Kidman getting paid a heavy amount here, I imagine. But Hollywood, if you care about actually making money at the movies, where the hell have y'all been? Lord knows y'all have got plenty of money to spend when it comes to this kind of stuff. And we all knew, that there had not been any type of outbreak connected to a movie theater. None whatsoever. We even had the data showing that in these cases, when especially when it comes to the spreading through surfaces, that's just not something. Again, I'm not a doctor, so again, consult your own doctor on this information, but that it doesn't spread through surfaces. So we already had an idea that the passing of COVID, or really anything at a movie theater, was already not really a whole lot of proof. There really wasn't a whole lot of data. In fact, there had been no recorded outbreak stemming to and connected to a theater. So why wait until now? Why wait until Shang-Chi? Why wait until the weekend when a movie that, again, I think that there's at least a mixed reaction to, as far as, at least the people who have been letting me know. Again, there's people who've loved it, there's people who've hated it, there's people who've been in the middle, which again is standard for any major big budget film. But it's amazing that they're waiting till now. Too bad Tenet didn't get this kind of campaign going forward, even though obviously that film didn't perform very well. But again, remember, that was a time when New York and LA were completely shut down. But guess what? Even then, we still knew that there was no connection whatsoever to any massive outbreaks in movie theaters. So again, I ask the question, why now? Very conveniently timed with, obviously, a huge Q4 movie season coming up. The fact that they have been losing tons of money, having to delay these projects that cost hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars, and the fact that now, of course, things politically are a lot more better for them in the long run. And really, that's what it really comes down to at the end, is that this is all about political convenience for them, and they don't really absolutely care about audience members, even though they're going to try and pretend like they do. But speaking of Q4, right, you have films like Venom, Let There Be Carnage, No Time to Die, Dune, Eternals, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Spider-Man, No Way Home, etc., all coming up very soon. And if the films don't produce, if the films don't do very well, obviously you could see some of those, especially a film like Spider-Man, getting delayed a little bit, because obviously that is still something that is worth considering. People, I think, are reading, or rather misreading, the tea leaves here when it comes to Shang-Chi. I think that they are honestly, I think, missing the forest for the trees when they think, oh, movie theaters are back, baby, when you actually look to the amount of money that it costs to make Shang-Chi, and also the fact that we don't have the weekend to drop off yet, but there's still a question about whether or not it's going to reach the $375 million that it needs to break even. There's a lot of these other movies that are not going to be able to connect with similar demographics, and really that's what it comes down to with a film like Shang-Chi, is that they very much marketed that film in a very specific way, and they've been able to capture people's attention with that, and they've been able to, like they've done in the past, be able to capture certain communities to support these films. However, is that going to be enough to have the film make as much as it needs to in the long run? And also, is that actually going to extend out to other movies or not? Again, up to this point, we really haven't seen much of anything. And also, while everyone's talking about the domestic numbers for films like Shang-Chi, they're kind of ignoring the lackluster international numbers, which are far behind where they normally would be. And it's those international numbers especially that typically push movies over the edge into the realm of profitability. But anyway, let's go ahead and just read a little bit more here. It says the campaign will also be used in 9 countries. So again, major thing going on here. What I find interesting is the fact that they do mention at one point in their talk that they've been able to raise a lot of money this year. What's interesting to me is that they say we've raised millions of dollars, and thanks to the millions of dollars that we've raised this year, we're going to be able to. It says, as we have said repeatedly of late, thanks to the billions of dollars we have raised this year. Okay, you say AMC is strong, billions of dollars raised. Okay, maybe you should thank Reddit. Maybe you should thank GameStop. You know, because that whole situation when people were buying AMC stock and essentially artificially raising the price of it to try and screw over hedge funds. Like, you do realize that those are the people that you have to thank. Those are the people that allowed you to be able to cash out certain things and raise those billions of dollars. So, you know, if you're going to be talking about billions raised, you should probably thank the people on Reddit for letting that happen. But anyway, let's go ahead and go on to the next story, which is that Venom, as it says right here, is moving up. Obviously, everyone's very excited after the Super Shang-Chi Labor Day stretch. Woo! Gotta keep talking about Shang-Chi here. But anyway, Venom is now coming out in the very beginning of October, so that is pretty exciting for anyone who is looking forward to this movie. So again, October 1st now is the release date for this movie. We'll see if it's able to make any money similar to Shang-Chi. I have personally my doubts, only because I think that people are kind of missing the overall idea and concept of why Shang-Chi did as well as it did in the way that it did. But again, we'll have to wait and see exactly what this film does, what the overall projections for this movie are, especially since it has now been moved up. One other thing I want to talk about is the fact that, that's right, Black Widow has actually beat Shang-Chi. Not only did, of course, it have a better Friday and a better Saturday, while it did lose in the Sunday and Monday because of the holiday. When you actually get to the Tuesday, the first day when people are back at work, look at this, $7.7 million on the first Tuesday of Black Widow's release versus $6.6 million for Shang-Chi. Now remember, Tuesdays are typically discount Tuesdays. So it's interesting to me that you had about a 66% drop-off in that day. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, this is still very early to tell whether or not this is going to have any impact on what the actual weekend drop-off is going to look like here. But this is, again, one interesting thing I love about the numbers is that you can actually compare two films, and you can compare the actual days to each other. So their first Monday, their first Tuesday. So we'll see if they are able to continue on and they're able to continue the momentum going on here. Because keeping in mind here that this movie in its second weekend made about, let me try and see if I can do some quick maths on this really quickly. So let's see, it made about $26 million or so in its second weekend. That is Black Widow. We'll see if Shang-Chi is able to make around that same amount of money, make a little bit more. I think some people are expecting it to make a little bit more. But yeah, those day-to-days are going to, over time, determine whether or not this film is more profitable, or rather more successful financially than Black Widow. Also, too, if this film is not doing nearly as well internationally as Black Widow did, then that could also have a major impact on whether or not the film makes any money whatsoever. Again, internationally, this film, Black Widow, made $187 million. Shang-Chi, $56 million right now. Again, still very early to really say one way or the other, but it is still something I think that is worth pointing out and worth talking about. But anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that this drop-off here on Tuesday, losing a Black Widow, is going to be an indication of things to come? Again, I think it's still a little too early to tell there. Also, are you excited about Venom moving up here? And what are your thoughts? Have you seen this trailer? Because it is a bit cringe. I will be totally honest. Like, the way in which it's presented, it's very cheesy. I'm very excited the fact that they're actually fighting now, that they're actually, you know, trying to fight for movie theaters. But to me, it's like, okay, it's a little too late, I feel. I think so many theaters have been hurt by the fact that they have not gotten backing from, one, their own companies, in the case of AMC, but also, two, from anyone in Hollywood. And obviously, in the case of Nicole Kidman, she was paid to do this. She was given a paycheck to do this. It's amazing that they have not had a greater push here. And it kind of just shows you that these people in Hollywood are so comfortable, are so in a not need for money, that they don't care that movie theaters and small businesses and local owned mom and pop theaters especially are dying and are suffering. They don't care about that. All they care about is the fact that they're still financially well off, and that they can go ahead and continue on and pushing any of their political nonsense, all the political nonsense that they want to push. And that's it. And it's sad. But again, kudos to AMC for finally stepping up. I think it's a little too late, to be perfectly honest. We'll wait and see, of course, what the movies going forward make, what kind of drop-off we see for Shang-Chi, what kind of weekends we see for films like Venom, and other of the films coming out in October. Obviously, October is a huge month for movie releases, as in the entire Q4 really, of movie releases is. But we'll have to wait and see. What are your thoughts about all of this stuff, though? Let me know in the comment section below. Nice video. Smash that like button, that fire button. If you're watching on Odyssey, you're all amazing, beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll have a box office look ahead, or a look ahead to the box office projections, the official box office projections for this weekend, hopefully sometime tomorrow, when we actually get some of those numbers. And we'll see if Shang-Chi can actually play ball here and reach profitability. I'll be able to make my projections as early as Sunday afternoon. You guys rock. Have a wonderful day. As always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my September Locals, Patreon, and Subscribe Star members. First with my Locals members, Cats App, D Sharp, It's a Modern Major General Story, Bifford DeHavitt, and Robert Barnes. I want to give a shout out to, especially to Laura, who is now a double supporter on Locals and on Patreon. So thank you for that. And to all of my Locals members. A shout out also to my Patreon members, Andrew Hoyle, animation commentator Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Don Bruno de la Mancha, Father Christopher Miller, Hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, the Modern Major General Story once again, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Ullen, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. And a shout out also to my Subscribe Star members, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, John B., Perpetual Punster, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank you all very much for supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot. And if you want to have your name shouted out at the end of every single video or live stream on the main channel, please check out the links in the description below, specifically that top link, which will bring you to all of the links to my various social media pages and also places of support as well. And remember that if you join at the Army of Asgard level, you also get access to giveaways of 4K titles. Right now, I have a live giveaway of Snatch on 4K Steelbook. I've also got ones for Dread, Wrath of Man Blu-ray. I've also got A Quiet Place Part 2 on 4K. I've got Top Gun on 4K, Sicario on 4K, tons of films and more to come, especially as more films are getting released for those giveaways. At the Keeper of the Bifrost level, you get all of that, plus you get access to an exclusive podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. Not only do you get to listen to the podcast, you also get to ask questions that we answer as much as we can and as fully as we can in a much more, I guess you could say, uncensored way, but again, a much more free-flowing way for our members over there at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above. And if you join the Chosen of Valhalla level, you get access to all of those things, plus in your first month, you get a free t-shirt, your choice, and I send it to you no matter where you are in the world. And also, you get to once a month be featured on the channel in the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we talk about movie, news, and pretty much anything that you want to talk about. So if that all sounds like fun to you, check out those links below. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.